Hello, everyone. Welcome to our webinar on authoring and viewing augmented reality with Yulio. My name is Nicole. I'm one of the client success specialists here at Yulio, and I'll be hosting today's session. Our main objective of today's webinar is to show you how simple it is to create augmented reality or AR models with Yulio and incorporate them into your VR projects to maximize client engagement and satisfaction. This training will cover a lot of information, so if you have any questions along the way, please feel free to enter them in the question box, and I will stick around during the last couple of minutes to answer those questions. My contact details are also on the screen now, so if you'd like to follow up on today's webinar with a complimentary training session on anything we did or didn't cover today, please feel free to reach out to me, and I'll be happy to set that up with you. Lastly, if you do have to leave today's session early, I am recording the full webinar and we'll send that to all registrants, so you'll be able to watch it later and you can share it with your team as well. So here's our agenda for today's session. I'll start off with a brief introduction into what augmented reality is and how it can enhance your VR projects. After that, I'll go over how to create AR models from Revit, SketchUp, and CET with Yulio Jump. Next, I'll cover editing and customizing AR hotspots. And finally, I'll show you how to view and interact with AR straight from your Yulio VR projects. And like I said, we'll also wrap up with a Q&A period. So, what is augmented reality or AR? Augmented reality enables users to overlay digital content like images or 3D objects onto the real world through devices like smartphones, tablets, or mixed reality headsets. Some common examples of AR that you might have already experienced are Snapchat filters or shopping apps that allow you to try on eyeglasses or just see how a piece of furniture will look in your home. So, how can AR strengthen your VR projects? When used in combination with VR, AR can help bridge the gap between virtual reality and physical reality. AR can elevate your presentations by enabling clients to engage more closely with design elements. It can help identify potential errors or conflicts earlier in the design process, which in turn can reduce time consuming and costly revisions. And it can bring confidence to your clients to know that what they loved in VR will work in their real space. So, the easiest way to create AR content for your Yulio VR project is with Yulio Jump. If you're new to Yulio, Yulio Jump is our cloud based rendering engine that's available through the Yulio plugin for Revit, SketchUp, and CET. Yulio Jump can render the files you need for VR in just minutes, and it will send those files directly to your Yulio account as a VR ready project. On top of this, you can tag AR assets in your design before rendering with Yulio Jump. When you tag AR assets before rendering for VR, Yulio will export those assets during the rendering process and add them to your VR project as interactive hotspots. So it will all take place during the same rendering process. So you will need the Yulio plugin to render AR assets with Yulio Jump. If you don't yet have the plugin, you can download it from the CAD plugins page on our website. The plugin is free to install anyone with a active Yulio license. And I'll just show you the CAD plugins page on our website. Here's our website at yulio.com. If you navigate to the resources tab and select the CAD plugins dropdown, this is where you can download our plugins for Revit, SketchUp, and CET. Each plugin also has its own user guide, and this is very helpful. It tells you essentially how to use the entire plugin itself. As well, each user guide has a section for AR and how to tag AR assets in your design. I'm going to walk you through now how to render for AR with Yulio Jump for Revit, SketchUp, and CET because the process is a little different for each CAD tool. So I'm going to start with CET today. and then I'll move on to the other two. So I've opened up CET. Here is the file that at this point is ready to render for VR. Today, of course, I'm going to be adding AR hotspots into my project. So before I render, there are a few more steps I have to take. Across Revit, SketchUp, and CET, authoring and exporting AR assets with Yulio Jump starts with tagging the objects in your model using Yulio's AR tagging convention. Like I said, there are some differences in this process across CET, Revit, and SketchUp, so I will demonstrate in CET first and then show you the process for Revit and SketchUp. So in CET, you're going to start by clicking on the Tools menu, and then you're going to select Part Tagging from the dropdown. We recommend creating a new category here called AR so you can keep all of your Yulio AR tags in one place. So to create a new category, you're going to select the New Category button and then label it in the label box. So I'm just going to write AR. Next, you're going to select the New Tag button to actually tag your asset. In the label box, you're going to enter Yulio's AR tag. Yulio's AR tag for CET is hashtag Yulio AR plus the object name. For example, your tag could be hashtag Yulio AR plus chair. Or it could be Yulio AR just with a space and then chair. You can add the plus symbol or leave it out. I usually just leave it out. The only requirements here are that you use hashtag YulioAR and then you don't include any other special characters in your tag name. So next, you're going to assign the tag to an item in your drawing. I always use the tag individually option. It tends to be more precise. However, you can use any of the tagging tools highlighted here. So to tag individually, select that option and then select the object or group of objects in your drawing that you would like to add to the tag. So you can tag one single object. I'm going to go ahead and tag this chair. Or you can tag a group of objects. So for instance, if you have a chair and a desk combination that you want to show off together as one AR model, you can select the chair and the desk under one tag and they will export together as one model. When your items are selected, they will highlight green, like mine did here. And then that's it. You can just repeat those same steps to add as many AR tags to your project as you'd like. Once you're done tagging your items, you can exit this part tagging menu. So that's all you have to do there. If your project is ready to render, you would go ahead and open up the Yulio plugin. So here's the extension, and then you would select Render Now. And when you do that, here is the pop-up with all of your render settings. I'm not going to go through all of these today, but essentially the most important thing to note when you're tagging AR models in your project is to scroll down, and you're going to want to make sure that you select this Add AR Models setting here. And then you would just create your VR project, and your hotspots will be ready once your project is finished rendering and has uploaded to Yulio. And we'll take a look at what that looks like later. All right, I can exit out of this now. Now I'm going to show you the process for AR tagging in Revit and SketchUp, starting with Revit. To save some time, I've included pre-recorded videos of these processes, and we'll be talking over them as they play. So here is the sample project open in Revit. And just like in CET, you're going to tag the item or items in Revit that you want to create AR assets for using Yulio's AR tagging convention. So you're going to start by selecting the item or group of items you'd like to tag as your first AR asset. So you'll see this person is tagging a group of items, which will be generated as one AR asset. Next, you're going to select the Create Group button. So here's the most important step. This is where you're going to use Yulio's AR tagging convention. For Revit, this is hashtag Yulio AR equals, and then any label you want to name your AR asset wrapped in quotations. So here they will put hashtag Yulio AR equals seating. And then that's it. If you want to create more AR assets, you'll just repeat those steps. And then, like CET, once you go to render with Yulio Jump, you'll just have to remember to select Export AR Assets from the render settings in the Yulio extension. All right, now for SketchUp. Oops. So with your SketchUp model open, you're going to navigate to and open the Tags tab in the default tray. From here, you'll select the plus icon to create a new AR tag, and then you're going to rename the tag using Yulio's AR tagging convention. So SketchUp is the same as Revit. It's hashtag Yulio AR equals, and then the name of the label wrapped in quotations. So this one is hashtag Yulio AR. Sorry, this one moved a little fast. So as you can see here in the tags dropdown, they're writing hashtag Yulio AR equals table in quotation marks because they're tagging the kitchen table here. So then you would press enter and that will save to the bottom of your list. Now you're going to assign your tag or your item or group of items to the tag. So you're going to scroll up, open the entity info tab like they've done here. Now, next, you're going to select the item or items in your model that you want to assign to the tag. And then from the tag dropdown, you're going to select that AR tag that you just created. So that's it. Again, once you go to render with Yulio Jump, you'll just have to remember to select the Add AR Models button from the render settings in the extension. So, like I said, all of these steps are included in those individual user guides on the CAD plugins page on our website. So don't worry about remembering all of that. I know it kind of went quickly. And of course, I will be sending out the recording of this webinar as well, so you can watch it back here for a more visual example later on. All right, so now that we have gone through how to generate AR models through Yulio Jump, I'm going to return to my Yulio account to show you what those AR models will look like in your project once the rendering process has completed. All right, so here I am on my Yulio account, and in front of me is the CET project that I tagged an AR asset in and rendered with Yulio Jump. Uh, the process, whether this project was created with Revit, SketchUp, or CET, it all looks the same once it's in your Yulio account, so don't worry about that. I'm going to open my project here, and this is the project edit page. From here to find my AR models, I'm just going to go to this AR tab. And then here is that chair that I tagged in my project. So from this page, I can preview my model just by clicking on this thumbnail image here. So in this little preview here, I can move the object around in 360, check it out, make sure it looks good. And then in this label box here, I can change the title of my model if I'd like to change it. And then to the right, there are some additional buttons. If I click on this camera icon, I can adjust the opening position of the AR model. It's also that position that you see in the thumbnail. So if you render an element for AR and you open it in Yulio and you notice that maybe it's facing backwards or it's just not in an ideal position, you can adjust that here just by clicking and dragging on the model. And then you can adjust it, say you just want it facing forward. You would adjust the position, press apply, and then it will update here in that preview or thumbnail image. Something we've added recently is our replace and download functions for AR. So now you can actually download the AR model to your files as a GLB file and upload it to any other project in your account. So let's say that you want to add an AR element into an existing project in your account. You can now download the file from the new project and upload it to an existing project. So to download the AR model, you would just select this cloud icon. Just note that if you upload the AR model yourself to a new project, you will have to go into the hotspot editor for that project and add the AR model as a hotspot. So next to the download icon on the left is the replace function. The replace function would be useful if you have an existing AR model in a project that you want to replace with a new model. So when you use the replace function, all of your AR hotspots in the project and the AR model data will remain intact. All right. So next to the replace and download buttons, we also have a sharing function here, which allows you to share a direct link or QR code to the AR model. So this is useful if you want to share the AR model with a client without sharing the full VR project. All right, lastly, we have a sound button here, and this is where you can add audio to the AR model. This audio will play when you're viewing the AR model from the browser window. So that would be from this window here. So if they open the model on their desktop, the music would, or the audio would be playing here. You can add music here or even a voiceover if you wanted to provide some more information about whatever AR model you're showing off. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and open the hotspot editor to take a look at the Air hotspots and go over what kind of edits you can make to them from there. So opening the hotspot editor here. All right, so like I mentioned earlier, when you author AR models with Yulio Jump, your AR hotspots will be generated and placed in your project automatically. So if you take a look here on the chair, I can see the AR hotspot has already been placed in this scene for me. Occasionally, the placement or size of the hotspots generated by Jump can be slightly off target. If that's the case for you, you can always come into the hotspot editor to make adjustments. So, if you want to move the hotspot, you can simply click on the hotspot and then drag it into a different spot. To edit the hotspot properties, you can select the hotspot and then select this pen icon, and that will open up the hotspot properties on the left side. From here, I can adjust the title um, just by typing in that label box. I can also show the title. So when you render AR assets through Yulio Jump, the title will be hidden, or the hotspot title will be hidden um, in your project. So you can turn that on here if you want to show the label, or again, you can just hide it. If I scroll down, you can adjust the depth of the hotspot. That's essentially just the size, but it makes the hotspot appear further or closer away in VR. And you do that just by dragging this toggle. And then you can also adjust the color of the hotspot with this paint tool. And then if I scroll up a little bit here, you can also add an external link to an AR hotspot. So the external link will appear whenever someone opens the hotspot preview. So for instance, if I want to link to the project page for this chair, I can add that link here and my client can click on it later to learn more about the chair itself or the pricing or so on. All right, I'll go ahead and close that now. Another thing I want to mention is when generating AR models out of Yulio Jump, Jump will place the AR model onto the object in every scene that you render. So for example, of course, you can see my AR model here on this chair. And then if I move to view 2, so I'll just click this next scene button, and I turn around, you'll also notice the AR hotspot in this scene as well. And then if I move to scene 3, you'll notice that the AR hotspot was placed here as well. So in my opinion, for this specific project, I don't really think it's necessary to have the AR hotspot in this third view. So I would actually just delete the AR or AR hotspot, sorry, from this scene. So to do that, I would just select it and then delete the hotspot here because I can get a better view of that chair in my first scene or my second scene. If I go back to view 1, that AR hotspot will still be visible. It'll also be visible in view 2, so you don't have to worry about it deleting from every scene. But I just personally think it looks better that way instead of having it in that third scene where you can't even see the chair. All right, so now that I'm happy with my AR hotspots, let's go ahead and view the VR project in browser mode, and I'll show you what the AR hotspots will look like from your client's perspective. So to open my project in browser mode from the hotspot editor here, I can just click on this eye icon and that will open up the project in my browser. All right, so if you haven't tried Air with Yulio, now will be your chance. When you click an Air hotspot in browser mode from a computer, your experience will be restricted to what you see here. So I can just use my mouse to kind of click and drag the object and view it in full 360. To view the object in true AR from this page, you can click on this AR button at the bottom of the page, and this will open up a QR code. Um, and you can scan this code just by opening the camera app on your smartphone or your tablet. Once you scan the code and click on the link on your device's screen, the AR object will open up on your device. So from here, you'll see the object as an overlay on your physical environment. So you can go ahead and do that now with the camera on your phone. You'll just want to make sure that you have enough space around you to place the object, otherwise the AR model may not function properly. And as I mentioned earlier, this is an incredible tool for clients to see how furniture or any other design element or object will look and fit in their space. So once you open the model, you should be able to position it, scale it, and even walk around it just by dragging your finger on the screen. And I also want to mention that if you were viewing the Yulio project from a VR headset or on your phone or tablet, you would be able to open the AR model on your device straight from Yulio without having to scan the QR code. So it's only in the desktop experience that you have to perform that extra step. All right. You can continue experimenting with that. I'm just going to return to my slides now. And that will wrap up today's webinar. So thank you all for joining me today. I hope that you were able to learn a little bit more about creating AR models with Yulio to enhance your VR projects. If you have any questions, you can submit them in the question box, and I will stick around for the next couple of minutes to answer those. And as a reminder, if you want to book an additional training session with me on anything we covered today, my email is up on the screen, so please feel free to reach out, and I will gladly work with you to set up a time for us to meet. Of course, you can also email me anytime if you have any questions that pop up later. So thanks again for joining me. I'll stick around for a couple of minutes to answer any questions. But other than that, have a great rest of your day.